You can see I call this powder almighty. This powder actually comes cheap. Yes guys, compared to the other powders I had mentioned earlier, it comes way cheaper. Like, it is so good. You can use this in your soap, your black soap, your lotions, your mulatto soap. You can use it in your oils, you can use it in your scrubs, you can use it in your serums. This powder is very good. You can even use it in some type of facial cleanser. You know, there are some facial cleansers that actually contain. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is your favorite girl, AMF Secret Skincare, and if this is the first time of coming across my channel, you're welcome. Please do not forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell below so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So guys, pertaining to my last video I did on products that you should never add into your whitening soaps or your lotions or your whitening products entirely. So I had a few messages saying or asking what other powders they can use to replace the bleaching powder I mentioned in my last video. I'm going to be dropping the link to the video in the description box so you can go there and watch. So please guys, pardon any noise from the background. I usually record on Sunday mornings, so forgive me for any noise you hear from the background. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video. There are 1001 powders you can actually use to replace this bleaching powder. So I'm going to be listing few of them or some of them. I'm not going to be explaining deeply on it, but I'm just going to try and summarize it up as much as I can because I do not want this video to be too long. So the very first powder you can use for your whitening lotion instead of your bleaching powder is your glutathione powder. This powder actually comes very expensive. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but it is very active. You can use this glutathione powder in your lotion, but you can't use it in your soap. It's going to be a total waste in your soap. Then another powder we have here is our Arbutin powder. Oh my goodness, this powder, to be honest, is not just going to whiten you up like boom. It is going to be a gradual process without any side effects whatsoever. This is how good this powder is. Yes, this powder also you can use it in your lotion, but you cannot use it in your soap. It is going to be a total waste in your soap. Then we have our Sim White powder. This powder is actually very scarce in the market. Yes, it is scarce, but very effective and also expensive. I think because these powders are actually expensive, that is why most people prefer to use serums and the like. So it is a matter of choice. Your Sim White powder is also very good. 2% of your Sim White powder is okay to whiten up your skin over a period of time. I'm not going to lie to you, it is not going to give you like whitening up in 7 days, in 2 weeks, no, except in a case whereby you have a very sensitive skin. Then we have our kojic acid dip powder. Your kojic acid powder actually comes in two. We have the kojic powder and the kojic dip powder. For your kojic powder, you can actually use that only in your lotion, but if you're a beginner, it is not advisable you use your kojic acid powder because it oxidizes over time. But when you go further into this skincare formulation stuff, probably I'm going to make a video on what you can actually add with your kojic acid powder in your lotions so that it doesn't oxidize over time. So if you're a beginner, I would not advise you to use your kojic acid powder. Then your kojic acid powder is water soluble, while your kojic acid dipermetate is oil soluble. This doesn't oxidize over time. It is a bit more expensive than the kojic acid powder, but it is way advisable for you to actually use your kojic acid dip. For your kojic acid dip powder, you can actually use this both in your lotions, in your soaps, in your oils, in your scrubs. Yes, this is how versatile this particular powder is. You can use it in any of your products. Then also we have our almighty Snow White powder. You can see I call this powder, oh my, this powder actually comes cheap. Yes guys, compared to the other powders I had mentioned earlier, it comes way cheaper. Like, it is so good. You can use this in your soap, your black soap, your lotions, your molato soap. You can use it in your oils, you can use it in your scrubs, you can use it in your serums. This powder is very good. You can even use it in some type of facial cleanser. You know, there are some facial cleansers that actually contains both oil and water, because your Snow White powder is oil soluble. So if you're using a facial cleanser that actually contains oil, you can actually use this Snow White powder. That is the reason why I love this powder. Despite the fact that it comes cheap, it is actually very effective, and you can use it in whatever product you are making. Another powder we have here is our Giga White powder. Your Giga White powder also comes very cheap, and it is also very effective. Though unlike your glutathione and your arbutin powder, this powder you need to use like up to 4-5% before it can work. You can see the effectiveness, but it comes very cheap, so it is a win-win when you actually use this powder in your product. This powder is very good for your lotions. Some people actually use it in their soap, but honestly I'm not a really big fan of using your Giga White powders in your soap. I prefer it in your lotions and the likes. So guys, another powder we actually have here, though I won't say this is a whitening powder per se, is our tranexamic acid powder. This powder is also very expensive, very scarce in the market, but if you can get your hands on it, it can be used by all skin type. That is the beauty of this particular powder. It can be used by dark skin, light skin, white skin, fair skin. It can be used by all skin type. So this particular powder is majorly used in treating hyperpigmentation. Though it is water soluble, but you can basically use it in all of your products. Though because of the way it is expensive, I would not give a go ahead in using it in your black soap or your soap generally, but you can use it in your lotion, in your serums, in your facial cleanser. So this particular powder is actually great when you actually mix with your hyaluronic acid or your niacinamide acid. If you combine these three powders, this is another tip I'm giving out here. If you actually combine these three powders in your facial cleanser, you are going to come back here to thank me. Your tranexamic acid powder, your hyaluronic acid powder, and your niacinamide powder, which is actually also known as your B3 powder. The combination of these three powders in your facial cleanser is so these are some of the powders you can actually use in replacing your bleaching powder in your whitening products. They might not actually work very fast as your bleaching powder, but they are going to work greatly and perfectly without any side effects, without you having green hair, blue hair, black, brown, different colors, or you having Coke and Fanta skin tone, or you having burnt skin. No, none of this is going to happen when you use these powders in the right proportion. Do not say that AMF said you can actually use all these powders to replace your bleaching powder, and you like just pack everything and add it into one single product. What they say is enough for the wise. So guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comment section and I will be sure to reply you. Please like, subscribe, share this video.